face of insurmountable odds, sometimes the only solution is overwhelming force. And when any skilled hunter wields the greatsword, a monster's fate is already sealed.
You're mine!
Embrace your inner caveman with a big, sharp stick of your own, and prepare to launch devastating attacks with purpose, charge, and careful aim. Just remember,
Come on!
try not to get too cocky. Unless you have a wire bug to spare.
Take this!
Welcome back, hunters! Join me as we power sheath toward a future filled with big damage, constant flinches, and tail cuts aplenty in the next Monster Hunter Rise episode of Build a Better Hunter! Just as with the hammer, Capcom infused the greatsword with all new hunting capabilities and quality of life improvements thanks in large part to the versatile wire bug. The familiar cycle of chasing ever more powerful charge slashes is alive and well in Rise. But with the addition of swappable switch skills and Silkbind attacks, the greatsword is capable of so much more fluidity in combat than ever before. To start, gameplay loops should often begin and end with the Power Sheath. This quick repositioning tool costs 1 wire bug and not only gets hunters in or out of battle, but also provides a temporary attack boost of around 8% for 20 seconds. There's even some iframes at the beginning of the animation for dodging roars and short monster attacks. Wirefall recovery attacks, while not as maneuverable as the hammer, still pack plenty of power, especially if a hunter recovers high enough to charge an aerial slash. The devastating True Charge Slash, or TCS, returns from Monster Hunter World, and again gains full power if the initial windup strikes a weak spot. Alternatively, the less powerful Rage Slash provides super armor to absorb and redirect a monster's attack in a 360-degree direction to help consistently land more hits. Shoulder tackling also remains the same from World, often useful for skipping charge levels or tanking monster attacks and roars. On the flip side, the new Guard Tackle provides even more protection at the cost of sharpness. And if it connects with a monster attack or roar, a hunter can immediately skip to either a True Charge Slash or Rage Slash. Hunters can also choose between 2 additional gap-closing Silkbind attacks that have unique uses. On the one hand, Adamant Charge Slash, or ACS, costs 1 wire bug and zips hunters in any direction with super armor for the entirety of the movement and charge animations for a more powerful Strong Charge Slash. Just like the standard Strong Charge Slash, a hunter can immediately perform a TCS or Rage Slash after either attacking with this Silkbind or by tackle canceling. On the other hand, Hunting Edge costs 2 wire bugs and is essentially the Greatsword's version of the Longsword's Helm Splitter. This attack hits harder than an ACS and even gives hunters the ability to charge a plunging thrust for multiple hits. But it does not provide any iframes or super armor, and requires a follow-up Strong Wide Slash to continue toward a TCS or Rage Slash. While there is no wrong choice, if you love tanking attacks and roars, the combination of Guard Tackle, ACS, and Rage Slash blend well. If you prefer to chase more damage potential at the cost of vulnerability and reliable hits, mix together Tackle, Hunting Edge, and TCS. As mentioned in my last video, Monster Hunter Rise sports the same multi-level skill system first introduced in Monster Hunter World. In this game though, gone are the days of decoration farming from tempered monsters, instead replaced by an arguably worse Talisman RNG grind. However, since nearly all decorations are now craftable at the smithy, Talismans act more as build enhancers than a piece that makes or breaks a set. Rise is now officially out on PC, and while I don't officially condone their use, there are already mods to easily bypass the awful Talisman RNG for those that so choose. If you are still on Switch, there are also options for you even if your system cannot run custom firmware. So check out my Discord server in the description below for more information. With all that in mind, the builds in this episode feature two versions, one with a modest talisman with the equivalent of 3 levels of useful skills, and another version with a theoretical maximum charm, if interested in pushing builds to their absolute limit. These sets are current as of version 3.7 and will likely not be updated until Master Rank comes around in Sunbreak, but check the description over time in case Capcom adds a surprise DLC monster or two that shifts the armor and weapon meta around. Unique to greatsword builds, there are a couple skills that are essentially mandatory for consistent gameplay. Focus level 3 charges attacks much faster, allowing hunters to get to the end of their TCS and Rage Slash cycle in between monster attacks easier. Stun resistance level 3 completely negates stun, which is important for preventing stun during a tackle, ACS, or Rage Slash. A level of flinch-free for multiplayer hunts is always recommended, but not entirely necessary since all charge attacks innately provide a flinch-free effect. Before each hunt, remember to eat your serving of Dango, and I generally recommend eating for Booster, Defender, and Moxie, save for a few choice builds discussed later. Finally, all sets here also aim for at least 90% affinity, assuming that you brought along a Fight Palico, as Rousing Roar's extra 30% affinity boost has great uptime in a hunt. If you are dead set on using Palamutes but still want crits, simply sub out levels of attack boost for Critical Eye to help make up the difference wherever you see fit. When it comes to build flexibility, the Stalking Shadow of Nargacuga can't be beat thanks to his Dark of Night, featured in 3 builds to choose from. This greatsword combines all the ingredients necessary for those who want to chase sets that prioritize high affinity and critical hit damage, sporting 20 hits of white sharpness, 35% base affinity, and even a level 2 decoration slot for an extra point of powerful skills. If you want one greatsword to do it all, look no further. Valstrax's return in Rise as his Crimson Glow variant brought back the Dragonheart ability, and when his armor is paired with Nargacuga's greatsword, hunters can take advantage of a percentage-based attack boost combined with flat buffs from Resuscitate and Resentment, while still landing critical hits. Dragonheart in this set activates at 80% health or lower, so shoulder tackling just one moderate or heavy hit will put you in the threshold for higher damage. Elemental resistances are also greatly increased when Dragonheart is active, preventing elemental blights and reducing the damage effects of other elemental monster attacks. With better talismans, just one more level of attack boost will provide an additional percentage-based multiplier for some crazy damage potential. Just remember that this is a set that relies on taking damage and staying below maximum health. So high-tier event quests, like the Emergency Apex monsters, will likely see you taking a one-way trip to camp. Otherwise, coordinate with hunters in multiplayer so they know to not heal you too much, or you will lose a large portion of your damage output. Sticking with the Dark of Night, a set centered around comfort also makes for hunts with less roar interruptions and feints. Maximum earplugs from this mixed build prevent stun from all roars, save for Apex monster enrages and the ear-splitting cries of Ibushi and Narwa. For those monsters, feel free to sub in more attack boost or evade extender to your preference. Divine Blessing level 3 also helps prevent damage taken over the course of a hunt, and Dragonheart's activation at 50% health provides a large elemental resistance boost to your defense. With better talismans, try fitting in the final level of critical boost as well as more attack boost to help keep up the damage. This set gives opportunities for a clean TCS whenever a monster roars, so take advantage of it. The final Nargacuga build in this video focuses on the unique Punishing Draw skill that adds both a flat attack boost and mild stun build-up to draw attacks. This skill is toned down a bit in Rise compared to World and Iceborne, but is still useful for an extra free knockout or two in solo play or when hunting with other blunt weapons. Hunters can build up stun damage easily through a standard draw charge slash, but also with a wire dash aerial slash or even a wirefall recovery slash. This set also makes use of the Quick Sheath skill for noticeably faster regular sheaths, as well as speedy power sheaths. Draw charge slashes are only about 6% less powerful than strong charge slashes with this build, so feel free to skip them with a Tackle, Hunting Edge, or ACS to complete the TCS or Rage Slash cycle. Prioritize filling out the attack boost skill and other comfort skills as better talismans come your way. And don't forget to eat for Dango Slugger to increase stun potential. The original Pseudo-Wyvern knows how to pack a punch, and his Tigrex greatsword makes a great candidate for chasing powerful critical hits. Strong negative affinity needs to be corrected for this set to have any chance, but once at least level 6 critical eye is reached, it's just a matter of stacking more levels of attack boost to raise the already high base raw even further. This set is a little more comfortable than the slightly higher damaging Dragonheart set because more utility skills can easily fit in, like speed sharpening and flinch free. Wind up, hope Rousing Roar is active, and let your TCS rip for well over 1000 damage on many targets. Finishing up the raw-focused sets, Magnamalo steps up with his Sinister Shadowblade, which happens to be my favorite greatsword design in the game. With the Hellfire Cloak skill maxed out, hunters can drop a Hellfire trap on most Power Sheaths, and that extra free trip or two on a hunt gives a small window for extra charge slashes. Thanks to 40 hits of blue sharpness, this is also the first build featured here that can take advantage of Guard Tackle for easy skips to a TCS or Rage Slash. Better talismans are necessary to fully realize this set, unfortunately, so the sooner you can fit in more attack boost, the better. Greatsword is the king of raw damage in Rise, capable of hits in the thousands for powered up Rage Slashes and especially TCS Wake-Ups. The flip side of this is that elemental modifiers and base elemental values simply can't keep up with raw damage motion values. And since the critical element skill in its current state is dead on arrival for most weapons, Elemental Greatsword just really isn't a thing in the base game. Sunbreak may course correct this, but until then, only one Elemental Greatsword is worth considering in Rise. The Ice Demon of the Frost Islands makes the cut for a great elemental set with Gosarag's Abominable Greatsword. The sheer raw attack power is enough to bring it close to terms with other builds in this video, but the extra bit of ice damage makes it hit even harder on ice-weak monsters like Rajang and Diablos. At its heart, this weapon is still all about raw strength, but you can eke out more elemental damage by taking advantage of moves with multiple hits, like leaping wide slashes or plunging thrusts. Fill out more levels of attack boost and ice attack as you get better charms for more overall damage. Similar to elemental shortcomings, chasing status-focused builds often sacrifices way too much damage potential to make it worth the trouble. To make matters worse, many weapons with decent status values like Somnicant's Illusory Frilled Blade or the Cat's Curse Greatsword from the Feline Tree have insultingly low raw attack and green sharpness. Thankfully, there are a couple exceptions that allow a balance between raw damage and status, but in general, it is best to think of status greatswords as alternative raw builds with occasional bonus status activations. For all of these sets, make sure your Palico or Palamute matches the status of your selected weapon to help counteract status decay, and don't forget to eat Ferdongo Specialist for a flat boost to status attack. Starting with Poison, the Queen of the Land charges in with Rathian's Sieglinde. Chameleos is a strong runner-up with over double the amount of poison attack, but Rathian's greatsword outclasses the Toxic Elder Dragon with higher raw and the ability to inherit the Silkbind boost ramp-up skill, allowing for increased attack power on the commonly used Hunting Edge and ACS Silkbinds. Poison is a decent all-around status for most monsters, and is great to help prevent Kushala Daora's Black Wind aura. The Sieglinde also has 40 natural hits of blue sharpness, making it another contender for a guard tackle playstyle. Just as with the hammer, the Rampage cleavers are a decent pick for sleep and paralysis builds without sacrificing much on damage potential. Since sleep and paralysis decorations are level 2 slots, they compete with the more useful attack boost and critical eye decorations, making it difficult to work them in for a status boost. The good news is that with these shared builds, a fight Palico is not needed to reach high affinity, meaning you can safely bring along Palamutes that are much better at applying status. The Sleep Greatsword has the added benefit of training hunters to perform TCS wake-ups with ease. The process to prepare is a little different than in World or Iceborne, but is conceptually the same. Power Sheath to get your free attack boost, walk into whatever monster part you would like to hit, guard, then guard in the opposite direction, roll, and finally guard again facing the desired target. This process guarantees a successful wake-up hit in the thousands depending on the weak spot, but be mindful of targets that have a hitbox that extends further than the monster model itself, such as Ibushi's head after his horn is already broken. The Paralysis Greatsword provides breathing room whenever a status activation occurs, and gives hunters time to safely sharpen or get free hits toward tail cuts. With another 40 hits of blue sharpness on either build, these greatswords can also work well with guard tackle. I recommend you avoid running either of these weapons in trio or quad hunts due to the severely increased status thresholds in multiplayer, unless everyone else happens to be using the same status weapon too. Since Rise still lacks the critical status skill, this is unfortunately rare to see. The final set brings us back to Blast, and Teostra presents a solid option with his King Teostra Blade. Magnamalo's greatsword is an alternative pick that leans more into raw damage, but since Blast activations occur much more often than other statuses, it can be fun building more towards status in this set. A high-grade charm is really needed to let this playstyle shine, but even without one, Teostra's armor gives even more blast buildup for explosions left and right. Many monsters are at least somewhat weak to blast, making this another all-around weapon especially suited for tackling Elder Dragons. Just as ever before, it doesn't get much better than a blast triggering at the tail end of a TCS. That's all for this second Rise episode of Build a Better Hunter. Greatsword wielders in Kimura bring many new and powerful techniques to the table for hunting monsters. And in Rise, it has never been easier to create balanced and engaging builds for hunters of all playstyles. The satisfaction of landing hits in the thousands with only high rank gear never gets old. On a personal note, this channel has recently reached 3,000 subscribers, and I want to personally thank everyone who sticks with me in spite of my slow upload schedule. I will soon play Rise exclusively on PC, so get ready for future videos to be back in the crisp 4K resolution at 60 frames per second you know and love from my Iceborne content. As always, happy hunting!